It is a wrap of the 71st Miss Universe pageant, and I have some thoughts. Good morning, afternoon, or evening to everyone. Thank you so much for watching today's vlog. As the title suggests, I want to talk a little bit about my experience going to Miss Universe 2020. It's technically 2022, the 71st edition of Miss Universe, but it was held in the beginning of 2023. I heard that it was supposed to be at the end of 2022, but the organization didn't want it to coincide and conflict with World Cup, so that makes sense because that's a huge event. It's technically the 2022 edition held in January 2023. But I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about a recap of my experience going to Miss Universe in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I have some notes here of my experiences before, during, and after the pageant. Also, I wasn't expecting my preliminary recap review of me going to the prelims in person to pop off so nicely. So much so that a few of you guys came up to me during finals night and said that they saw my video and they just wanted to introduce themselves and say hi. So thank you to everyone who said hi to me. I think maybe like 2 or 3 of you guys said hi, which, you know, isn't a lot, but it's more than 0, so I appreciate it. I feel like my YouTube channel is more so about travel, beauty, skincare, but I might just sprinkle in a little bit of pageantry here and there because I love pageantry, especially Miss Universe, so it seems like some of you guys do too. I want to preface also this video by saying this is just my experience, and let's just keep everything very positive and uplifting. There may be some critical comments that I have here that is more constructive. I know that there are a lot of passionate fans out there, and I know that everyone wants their countries to win. Me too. And let's just keep it kind. But you know what? In all honesty, my last video did somewhat well, and for the most part, a lot of people kept it kind, so let's just continue the streak for this video. I'm also going to sprinkle in a little bit of my footage in addition to whatever Miss Universe has put out online, because I was sitting on facing the stage. It was on the right side, and it was kind of cool being that close. But going into the auditorium, amazing energy outside. There were Thai dancers, there was a lot of Thai flags just kind of waving about, and a lot of people waiting to get in. I heard that people waited about 30 minutes to get in, and there are 2 kind of sides that people could enter, and I believe on the right side was where the line was kind of forming, but we came in from the left side, so when we got in, we noticed that there were like lines that were pretty short because it was kind of like a bottleneck, so we got in relatively quickly. I went with one of my friends. Her name is Starla. She's actually a former Miss Teen Washington USA 2014 and competed at Miss Teen USA 2014, so it was cool to go there. We actually sat in different sections, but it was cool going there and enjoying the pageant. Going to New Orleans, it was just me, but I was cool with that. There was a hallway right after the security, but before the actual venue, and there were a lot of people just kind of congregating there. There was merchandise being sold by Jojo Bargais and a few other vendors there, and we saw the new owner of the Miss Universe organization, Ann Kuhn, who is the first transgendered female to own the Miss Universe organization. She purchased MUO last year for $20 million from IMG, and so she owns Miss USA, Miss Teen USA, and Miss Universe. When we walked in the venue, as I said, me and my friend Starla went to different sections, and I was in the 104 section, which was like pretty good seats, but like not like super up close, so my footage is going to be from like kind of afar. But walking in, we got to our seats, and I think the security was going pretty slowly because they were doing some vaccine checks. They didn't do vaccine checks for me, but I found out later on that they were actually doing it in another part. I had my vaccine card up and ready for them to show. People were slowly getting in, so much so that when the introductions and the opening performance started, people were not in their seats, so there were some empty seats going in. But that being said, there were a ton of supporters throughout. I was sitting right in front of some Thai supporters. In front of me were some Dominican Republic supporters, and then the people right next to me, there were 2 girls. Hi! They are Filipino American, and we enjoyed the pageant together, rooting for both Philippines and US, and it was just really cool to have somebody side by side because I did have my flags. Like, I brought my US flag and the Filipino flag to kind of cheer with. As for the venue was pretty much the same as preliminary competition a few days prior, except there were a lot more people in the venue today. Same staging, same seating. The opening number was so fun. Like I said, they were holding people back just to like let the performers come in because they utilized the aisle in between the rows for, I think there were a few performers and stilts that were waving like flags, and then the contestants kind of walked down from the aisle to the actual staging, and it was just good vibes all around, lots of music. Big Frida performed, and it was just so fun, festive, and everybody was having a good time. I was dancing. Like I said, it was a little bit unorganized because at some point I heard that security people were just telling people to find a seat because they just needed to get things going. The intros were amazing. The intros were pretty good. They had, you know, the performers perform in between the intros. The Philippines in the P's, they say Paraguay, Peru, Philippines. In that row of 5, when Philippines came on, it was madness. It was so loud. So the top 16 were being called, and before I talk about the 16, we have the host Olivia Culpo, former Miss Universe 2012, and Jeannie Mai, the main hosts of the Miss Universe pageant. And I will say, Olivia Culpo really surprised me and redeemed herself from the last time she was the host back in 2020. She was given a lot of feedback that she was very, demure, lackluster, wasn't showing as much excitement, but this time around, she did an amazing job, so good job, Olivia. Jeannie Mai always does an amazing job. Also backstage, Catriona and Zuri Hall, they did an amazing job as well. So the top 16 were called, and I will say it was a mixed bag. My predictions were so off. And I think that has to do with the new weight that interview is held into the final score of who is coming in top 16. Before, I think it was like maybe 30 or 40%, but now interview is held at a higher weight and higher regard. It's now worth 50%, and then the preliminary swim and preliminary evening gown is worth 25% each. So somebody could do okay, maybe slightly better than average in preliminary swim and evening gown, but if they bombed interview, they're out. They're not part of the top 16. So that is probably where my list of people that you have seen in my predictions video for prelims. If you haven't seen that, check it up right up here. But that's probably where my predictions kind of went off the wall. I think eventually I got maybe 6 or 7 out of the top 16, which is a failing grade. There were a lot of surprises of countries that don't necessarily have a typical strong sash factor that made the top 16, like Haiti, Laos. I was so excited for Laos because it's not a country that you typically hear make the finals of Miss Universe, and they made it, which is amazing. And I did see supporters throughout the venue and seating that were supporting of Laos. Canada made it, and Trinidad and Tobago made it. If you guys remember Trinidad and Tobago, they were part of my just about to make the cut, and they made it, which was amazing. I actually caught her supporters to my left and waving the Trinidad and Tobago flag. It was just amazing. I will say, when Venezuela's name was called, everything erupted. All the Venezuelan flags came up, all of the cheers, all of the noise. It just was beaming with energy. And then same with USA. USA was like second to last. I was loud. I think I had lost my voice, but it was great that Albany got to make the top 16. And then the mood kind of changed as they were making their way towards like the end of the 16. And then the last country that was called, we were just like, maybe they'll choose Philippines as the 16th. And then it sunk in because Colombia was the 16th spot. And, you know, Colombia, Mafe, she did an amazing job during prelims. She was part of my predictions video. When her name was called, of course, the crowd erupted, but then all the Filipinos were just kind of like, man, everyone was shocked, I would say, that the Philippines didn't make the top 16, because this is the first year in 12 years that Philippines were not part of the finals, and ending that streak. And, you know, as much as like we're all disappointed, I really hope that we all send support, love to Celeste, because she did an amazing job. There were a lot of countries that, especially Southeast Asia, that didn't make the finals, like of course Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia was a favorite this year too. It's gonna light a fire in us. I think that later on this year when Miss Universe happens, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the end of the video, we're gonna do as much as we can, fight to reclaim our spot, because if anything, it just made us hungrier to prove a point and to do better for the next edition. So swimsuit round started, and if I'm being really honest, and I took a video, I don't love the capes, especially being showcased all at once, because everyone's ability and craftsmanship and cape design were so varied. A few were like nicely designed, and a few I believe were designed by actual artists, but some of them just looked so like an art project, like a craft project, like this is the school fair. And when they're all presented at once, you just see all the variances of the capes, and it just looked like a school play or an assembly. So it probably wasn't the most visually appealing, and I hope they probably reconsider that for next year. Or maybe they can have them be personalized, but have the actual cape designer kind of give them specs that they can follow, so that there is somewhat a cohesive match. They can choose the background color, they can choose words, they can choose styling, but like, don't just, you know, let the contestants make it on their own. I will say that the majority of people that made it to the top 16, because I looked at the cape and the swimsuit as a set, like if the swimsuit worked with the cape, and I think most of the people who were in the top 16, that was their case. So Puerto Rico, Ashley, came in with such confidence. Her cape was nicely designed and her gown matched perfectly, so I was really happy with Ashley. Haiti, I really liked her orange swimsuit. The cape was okay, it was very simple. The walk felt more like an evening gown performance rather than a swimsuit walk, in my opinion. Australia, another good swimsuit that matched really nicely with the cape that she had designed, walked with so much confidence, nice smile, and her toned body was just like, was goals. Andreina, I said Andreina last time, but I saw another video where she pronounced herself as Andreina, Dominican Republic. I liked how she walked with so much confidence, and she also worked with an artist for her cape, and I think that's why her cape looked really nice. I loved how she presented herself during swimsuit. So Laos, in person, I thought it looked better than when I later on saw it on the telecast. The slow walk that she did and the like kind of fake turn spin was not executed as well as I thought it would be, but a lot of Southeast Asians that I noticed in the crowd moved their support to rally for Laos. They're a really underrepresented country in Miss Universe, so it was good to see support kind of shift that way. Ndavi from South Africa, confident walk. In my opinion, I think Ndavi improved her passerella from her national competition to Miss Universe, so it was really great to see that progression and improvement in her walk. Portugal. I think Portugal, another great pairing between the swimsuit and the cape. Good walk, and it looked like she was having so much fun out there. Amelia from Canada, simple cape. It kind of looked like a craft project with all the, I know that their whole thing is the maple leaf, but it just looked a little crafty, a little too much for me. But that triple turn at the end that she did was not executed the best. It was a little unbalanced. She didn't find her center, and it just looked a little wobbly. There could be some improvements there. Alessia from Peru, supermodel vibes. Her walk, amazing tone body, was just so evident, powerful walk, bombshell look. I just think that she did so well. Trinidad and Tobago, she had this hot pink swimsuit which worked so good on her, especially with her skin tone. It just looked amazing. I love her short shoulder length hair because not a lot of people were rocking that look in Miss Universe at all, so it made her stand out. Curacao, authentic smile is what I wrote. Effortless walk. She was walking with so much confidence, and just that smile made her look so genuine that she looked like she was having fun, having a blast out there, and I thought she did an amazing job. Divita from India. I thought that the gold wings that were near her shoulder were very different. I don't know if I liked it or hated it, and she was walking confidently as well. Venezuela. I loved her cape, and the hot pink looks great on her. Her cape was really colorful and she was just walking very powerfully. Alicia from Spain, sultry walk, sultry face. I loved her cape and the meaning behind it because her cape was all about Angela Ponce from Miss Universe 2018, being the first transgendered contestant at Miss Universe, and showing that Spain is very accepting and tolerant of the LGBTQ community, which I loved. USA, Arbany had probably the most unique cape because she had an attachment with like mesh and a few different other things that was going on, but I loved how the cape matched her swimsuit because both had this kind of orangey red color. I call it orange, like red orange, but had that motif. She walked with so much confidence and she looked like she was having so much fun. Colombia, I loved her green swimsuit. I think that with her blonde hair really worked. She walked with her lightly ombre cape, which I really liked against her swimsuit. So after the top 16 swimsuit, we actually had a little bit of an intermission because there was no cut until then. All 16 eventually later on would walk in evening gown, but there was a little bit of an intermission, and the new owner of Miss Universe, Anne Kuhn, came out, and I wrote here that she was just so engaging. She was talking about her mission for Miss Universe as being the new owner, and she introduced the Impact Award, which I thought was interesting, and I thought, you know, Thailand won that award, but I felt like it was a little out of place because we didn't, as the public, I never really heard of this Impact Award that was apparently voted on until that night. So it felt a little out of place. Maybe they could try to integrate that within their marketing piece later on, but it was just interesting, but it felt out of place to me. So all 16 women competed in evening gown, and when Puerto Rico came out, I thought her gown was amazing. She had such poise when she was walking and such elegance, and she was one of my favorites. Haiti's dress was really different. It was a different structure. She had kind of like pieces that were like kind of string that were netted on one of the sides, and I loved how she was gliding down the runway. For me, Australia's dress felt super safe. Lots of silver and gold gowns, especially in the coronation night and finals night, and I almost feel like it's a default for gold and silver neutral gowns to come out, and I appreciated the ones that actually had a different colored gown because it makes them stand out a little bit, but Australia kept her smile the entire time, just maybe like having variance in the face, but I think maybe it might have been nerves, but I think that is, you know, improvement for next time, or if she was ever to join another pageant. So Laos, dress was super simple. Loved how she was able to walk down the step without looking, because I think that obstacle could be very difficult, especially when you're being watched by thousands of people, but I thought that it was effortless, and I loved her ending pose at the very end. I think she did that and executed that really nicely. South Africa, Ndavi, wow. Unique gown. I love the vibrant color of like the purple, red, blue with the sparkles, and I loved that long cape that was attached to it. I actually saw a version of this dress that she wore before she got her hair extensions. It was when she had her hair up, and I think she might have had like braids at that time, but I loved that dress with the tied up hair so much better than the one with her hair kind of curly and down, but nonetheless, good performance, great. Portugal, another silver gown. I'm not sure if I love the stringed beaded strings that were attached down her shoulders, because I think it was a little bit distracting for me. Amelia from Canada, I think this is a love it or hate it dress. I think that maybe one or the other would have worked. She had the cape that had the feathers attached to it, and then she also had the dress and the bodice that had a different texture to it, and it felt like it was competing with each other. I probably would have chosen one or the other and just worked with it, but she was daring. Alessia from Peru, another silver gown, but in person, she looked so statuesque and poised, and in the telecast, the dress bodice kept like moving on the opposite direction. I think it was because the mesh wasn't like attached to like it was just a halter. It wasn't like attached to her shoulders, so that's why it kept on moving in different directions. Trinidad and Tobago, this is actually the same dress that she wore during prelims, and you know, for me, I loved it because I love how the color isn't as widely used in pageantry as other colors like silver gold and nude and champagne. So I loved that, and I loved the cape. I thought that was super elegant. Curacao, loved the ombre color, albeit it was still kind of silver at some parts, but then she had a little bit of color which made it, you know, stand out a little bit, but you can't deny that stunning face of Curacao. I cannot. India, I really liked her prelims gown a lot more than her finals gown. I believe they were the same color, but at least with prelims it was different. Like it was a two-piece. But you know, she's very poised, and I think she had walked with so much confidence as well, and you can't deny that she did her best. Venezuela, one of the more unique gowns because they had a lot of these kind of curvy lines, beaded lines running down her dress, and the sleeves were so distinct. But I will say Venezuela got the crowd going, and the people just loved her. Spain had an okay dress, again another silver dress, but loved her ending runway pose. I think she did an amazing job with that. USA, Arvini, wow. Amazing, stunning, unique gown from Rianz Fernandez. I think black is just a really hard color to pull off, especially in the stage, but with Arbany, her dress had like sparkles, or it had like stones or you know, accessories that reflected the light, which made it work. I think if you had like a black satin gown or a black cotton or whatever material, it wouldn't have stood out because it didn't reflect light. So I think the structure of the dress was just so sexy. Lots of kind of interesting silhouettes that the dress had, and I think that she walked again with so much elegance. That hair, perfect. Colombia, Mafe, I think, you know, if I'm being honest, I preferred her prelims gown, the hot pink gown, more than the one that she wore in finals, which was green. The green was fine, but I thought that the pink was a lot more eye-catching. But nonetheless, she has improved her walk so much from her national pageant, in my opinion. So after that, they narrowed down the group from top 16 to top 5, which is such a big cut. Like, that's a lot. That's like 11 people. And, you know, in my opinion, I thought the correct top 5 made it based on the previous evening gown and swimsuit round. So I'm happy with it. It was just very cutthroat, like being drastic to cut down from 16 to 5, but they did a good job. In this round, they had a top 5 question, and everybody had a different question. And USA, she had the question about women who are previously married, are divorced, or with children, are currently not, or were not able to compete at Miss Universe, but now they are, what other changes they would make. And she talked about the age increase. She is at the maximum age that she could compete at Miss Universe, which is 28, but her favorite quote is, "If not now, then when?" And she talked about how, like, you know, sometimes you, like, why does age limit people to be Miss Universe? And she had the crowd support, and I think that she answered it really flawlessly and articulately. Puerto Rico, how would you represent delegates through your reign? And she said that she is a mirror of what a woman is, and believes in the dream and power that everyone has. Sounded really eloquent. Could have benefited with a little bit more concrete examples, but her delivery was believable. You can tell that she meant every word that she did. Curacao started by addressing the crowd, which, you know, breaks the tension, I felt. I think that she did a really good job with that. But the answer was just okay. She kind of tripped on her words towards the end, but by no means bad, but didn't have the impact like the others. Dominican Republic, the context of the answer was great, was able to back up her answer with actual examples to help people identify and understand her perspective, but for me, Dominican Republic's delivery was a little bit off. It wasn't as exciting, or I felt like I couldn't believe the words that she said, but the content of what she said made sense. And then Venezuela, I just said very, very articulate. She answered with such poise, directness, and she did such a great job. So after top 5, things got a little bit emotional because they brought out and did a memorial and remembrance of Cheslie Kryst, who passed away about a year ago because of her high-functioning depression. And her mom came out and spoke about her legacy. Everything was really touching, and I'm happy that they were able to give Cheslie and her mom a moment, especially since at Miss USA they had maybe like a moment of silence, but it didn't feel like that was it. There should have been more. And I'm glad that she got her moment. Her mom got to go on stage in front of the entire world. So top 3 was announced, and I think ultimately was the correct top 3. So the top 3 was USA, Venezuela, and Dominican Republic. And I thought that was like the right top 3, but I might have been able to switch out Puerto Rico with Dominican Republic. I felt like Puerto Rico, her delivery, although her content wasn't like, she could have used better examples, or she could have used examples, but her delivery was there, versus Dominican Republic, I felt like her delivery wasn't there, but what she said was good. So either or. All of the 3 ladies were given the same question: if you win Miss Universe, how would you work to demonstrate this as an empowering and progressive organization? So Dominican Republic, I think her answer was good, but the delivery, again, like her top 5 answer, was not as powerful as Venezuela's and USA's eventually was. And I think this goes back to, if I don't believe in what you say because of how you say it, then it's like a job interview, and you just have to put your best foot forward. It's like, if you say something with kind of a lot, she might have been nervous, but I think if you say things in a certain way, you get a different effect. If you say it confidently, people will believe in you and will understand what you're saying. But if you say it kind of, really low tone, and you kind of look a little bit like you're nervous, it's not as convincing. So I think that she did okay, could have been better with the delivery. So USA, she said that she wants to be a transformational leader. It was really to the point. She's a passionate designer, fashion as a force for good, and she used examples as to like what she's doing, cutting down pollution with using recycled materials, teaching sewing classes to people who are affected by domestic violence, and she wants to use her talents to make a difference. Delivery was impeccable, passionate, used examples, spoke very confidently and to the point. I don't really think going past the time limit like she did was an issue, but usually people stumble and end badly, but at least with the time ending, she just kind of went on for another like 4 or 5 seconds and ended flawlessly. Then Amanda from Venezuela answered. She used an interpreter, which gave her a little bit more extra time, but she answered in English. She wants to follow the legacy that the other women before her has done, and said that Miss Universe has demonstrated that they choose women who inspire and with messages and to transform with their actions. And it's interesting because she said her ending was similar to like Arbany from USA. She said that she's a fashion designer by profession, but then she's a designer of dreams as well. And I don't know if that like hurt or helped what she was doing, because it was very similar and right after USA. So it was a toss-up. For me, those were the top 2. I think that Arbany answered a little bit better. This is interesting. The top 3 final look. Did anybody know that we're gonna have a Yolanda Adams performance, like a straight up performance? It was amazing, and I love that song. Anything you want done, baby, do it naturally. It was like so fun, such a party, and all the 3 came out. Dominican Republic looked absolutely stunning. She is just so gorgeous. Ethereal is what I wrote. Gorgeous and at peace. I think maybe at that point she's done all that she could do, and she just kind of calmed down, and she walked there with so much so much like warmth in a way. USA came out fierce, had amazing stage presence, and she just kind of like was giving all the looks. And then at that point I thought like USA had it in the bag. But then Venezuela came out, her final walk, and it made me reconsider everything. It made me a little nervous. She walked out with so much fun. It was so much fun watching her walk out. She was having a great time. She was like dancing, interacting with those on the stage. Honestly, at that point, like it was either or, like it could be either, and I wasn't sure if this portion of the competition was scored. And then before the final results came out, Miss Universe announced that the next Miss Universe edition is going to be later this year in El Salvador, and they had like a video with the president of El Salvador come out and just saying like, you know, this is the safest country in South America, we're excited to have you here, these are the things that my country has to offer visitors. And you know, I'm really considering going to El Salvador. I was like putting out on my Instagram, if you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me, but I was putting out on Instagram like, should I go to this? And I'm thinking about going. That's super, super exciting. Something to look forward to for the next edition. I think they should, in recent years, you would have to wait like 2 or 3 months before Miss Universe happens to like get excited with it. At least here, they should keep it going, that they announce the next country during that current Miss Universe competition. So the crowning moment happened. Second runner-up was Dominican Republic. I thought that was pretty fitting. And then the final is, first runner-up was Venezuela, and the winner is Arbany Gabriel, Miss USA, who is Miss Universe 2022. I went crazy. Cue in the video. So like I was going so crazy, and I was really happy to be part of that moment. And oh, Miss USA is now Miss Universe. USA has their 9th Miss Universe crown, which is so exciting. But what do you guys think? I know that a lot of people have different opinions about Miss Universe, but a lot of people were thinking that Venezuela should have won, Puerto Rico should have won. Any of those girls in the top 5 could have won Miss Universe, and I think it was just with different judges or different, you know, songs or different like dress. Like it could have been any girl's dream, any girl's title. But I don't know. I thought that I'm happy with. Obviously, I'm from the U.S., but I feel like this is also a win for the Philippines. I hope they come back stronger, come back with the desire and hunger to make the finals again. But it was crazy. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below, and also please keep it kind, keep it respectful. I don't tolerate any kind of disrespect or rudeness in the comments, because if I see that, you're gonna get blocked and I'm gonna delete your comment, and then you can't comment on any of my other videos in the future. So that being said, thank you so much. I will see you guys in the next vlog. I actually made a vlog of my time in New Orleans before and after any of the Miss Universe competition related stuff. So I will see you guys in the next vlog. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye!